ML Sports Take here from Rosie's Corner. You know the deal. It is a Friday. You can come on in to Rosie's Corner, get your fish Friday, your fish with your mac and cheese, your french fries, coleslaw, etc. on the side. And oh, by the way, they are doing an unbelievable Black Friday special today. It's the best gift card special around. You won't find a better one. Simply put, you spend $25 and you get a $50 gift card back. That's an incredible deal. It's basically a 2-for-1 food. Here at Rosie's, you can enjoy the comfort food coming back next week. Meatloaf Monday, Turkey Slop Tuesday, Wednesday, chicken and biscuits, mac and cheese available both Thursday and Friday, and you have your fish Friday every week as well. So get on down here to Rosie's Corner, a proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. It's super easy. Take 81, get off the Bartell Road exit, take a quick right on Route 11, and right in front of the Brewerton Bridge, you will see Rosie's Corner on the left. Rosie's Corner, pizza, pasta, hot and cold subs, wings, and more. You name it, get here for all of the combinations for pizza, wings, and food opportunities and choices as well. Let's recap last night's game with the Bills and the New Orleans Saints. First things first, the Bills had to win this game. I understand the Saints roster is completely depleted. They've got barely any weapons offensively in terms of receivers. They have no running game without Alvin Kamara. The offensive line is banged up left and right. Trevor Siemian's really no good at quarterback. And you have to you had to win this game no matter what. The Bills did that. They stopped a little bit of the bleeding from last week when they got run over by the Colts. That's always the one side to it, of course. And the Bills had to keep up with the Joneses in the AFC as well, because right now that Jacksonville loss is killing them still in the standings. If they had just beaten Jacksonville right now, doesn't 8-3 look a lot different than 7-4? There's no doubt about it. So the Bills had to win this game. I'm going to run through some of the positives, and I'll look on the other side in terms of some things I'm still worried about. And obviously the Trey White situation, it doesn't look good. And then we'll go from there. Positive-wise, again, had to win the game, won it. Beat an inferior team, beat somebody on the road in a loud, hostile environment. Check the box there as well. Josh Allen was actually pretty efficient other than 2 interceptions. He had 23 of 28 passing stats for 260 yards, 4 touchdowns, great QBR, great rating. But the 2 interceptions, they were bad and they were a little troubling. And Josh Allen, it seems to me, has so much trouble on the road in hostile environments with all that noise. You can tell his hands are up into his helmet. He can't really hear. He starts to get a little erratic in the pocket. He starts to kind of get into that hero mode. And he threw just 2 horrendous interceptions. I mean, the one with Stephon Diggs, they weren't even on the same page at all, which you very rarely see with Josh Allen. Speaking of Diggs, I think he still needs to get more targets. I mean, the Bills went to him early. The Bills got an early lead, but then they went away from that, and then it was only a 10-point, lead at halftime where, yeah, did it feel like the Bills were the much better team? And did it feel like they were maybe up by 3-4 touchdowns? Sure, but they were only up 10. And those are the moments early in the game, take the stranglehold. That one drive that was really, really good, stopped, halted. The Bills kick a field goal. It's 10-0. Like, you have to score touchdowns. You have to keep scoring touchdowns, keep going to your best player. Stephon Diggs is the Buffalo Bills' best player. He's a better receiver than Allen is a quarterback right now. Last year, you could kind of flip a coin on it. But Stephon Diggs is the best player on the Buffalo Bills on either side of the ball. You got to throw him the ball more and more and more and more. I feel like against an inferior corner in Lattimore last night and many others in the NFL, and even really good ones, Stephon Diggs can get open against anybody. And I think it was Jay Feely a couple weeks ago on an NFL telecast and CBS. He simply said, that's there every time. And I tend to agree with him. I've been saying it a long time with some of my media pals and buddies who are big Bills fans. Like, it seems to me Allen to Diggs is there all the time. And Brian Daboll consistently tries to get the running game going over and over and over again. He keeps listening to everybody say, the Bills need to run the ball more. They need to run the ball more. They got to run a ton. If they're going to be a contender, you got to run the ball. I'm not saying you have to turn into, the Red Grange, Jim Thorpe, old days, decades ago, where the ground game was the solidifying piece, and then you work the play action off that. I'm not saying you have to turn into the Paul Hornung, Jim Taylor, Green Bay Packers, run some play action with Bart Starr to Max McGee. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you need a little bit of the run game to complement, but your identity, your DNA, What got you here, what got you to the dance, is the passing game. And the Bills, they got away from it a little bit. They had to keep going to Devin Singletary. They had to keep trying Matt Breida. Then in the second half, Breida was out, and they kept going to Singletary. And what was it, for one crack of a 10-yard run? I mean, I just don't know what that does. When the Bills throw and get a first down, that's when you keep at them. You keep throwing that at the Saints defense. But then the Bills went back to the running game. The Bills, though, did get some great performances on defense. Despite the fact that he can't tackle anybody, Mario Addison did create and wreak some havoc and did some unbelievable things for the Bills last night. But one of those plays was a freebie because Ed Oliver blew it up. Ed Oliver was the best player on defense last night, in my opinion. I think Poyer and Hyde at the safety spot were obviously unbelievable, like always. But Ed Oliver was great, and I've said it for a long time. He's the X factor on defense. He's the top 10 pick out of Houston a couple years ago. He's the guy who's got to take that next step on the defensive side. The Bills need more pass rush. They need more havoc in the backfield. They need more havoc in the quarterback huddle, in the quarterback pocket. They've got to have that Oliver deliver like he did last night more times than not. So he was fantastic as well. The Bills, obviously, the defense playing a really inferior offense. You know, they look a little bit more dominating compared to like a great offensive line and Jonathan Taylor, for example, against the Colts. But again, like I said, you play who you play. You're on the road. You got to win games. You got to create turnovers. They did dominate defensively. I mean, they only let the Saints score 6 points. Obviously, New Orleans failed that 2-point conversion. Now, some concerns from this game. Offensive line is still a disaster. I mean, there's no other way to get around it. I mean, they've got to have John Feliciano back. They have to have Spencer Brown back. We'll get to that in a second, too, but the O-line is brutal. Josh Allen, some of his mistakes do happen from the offensive line. I thought he did a good job scrambling out of the pocket. He did avoid contact a lot last night. Boy, he still took some hits, didn't he? And there should have been a call on the New Orleans player who kind of headbutted him and talked some trash. That was a bunch of bullshit. But when you look at Allen and you look at the situation with the offensive line, they're not going anywhere until that offensive line gets fixed. It does not matter what happens. They've got to fix themselves up front. And more concern, of course, with Allen. I mean, he was still erratic. He threw a couple of picks, etc. I don't have concerns from the defense last night. It's more of the concerns that we saw when you face a great offensive line and a great running back in the Colts. The next time they face that situation, then I'm going to be able to evaluate a little bit more defensively. Huge concern with Trey White. I mean, you saw that play in coverage. It looked like he hyperextended the knee a little bit. It didn't look like an ACL to me in the normal ACL world, the normal ACL images of things that you see. But that's the fear right now for the Bills. And if he's out for the rest of the year, the Bills are in big trouble, obviously, because you're going with Dane Jackson and Levi Wallace as your corners. That means that the front line has to step up and get pressure. So that's a huge concern, of course. Now, wrapping this whole thing up, where do the Bills go from here? 7-4, you wait it out. You got your win on Thanksgiving. Now you rest. Now you prepare. Now you rest. Now you prepare. Sunday we watch the games. Monday we watch the game. And then we have that whole week for the Bills to prepare. We have that whole weekend for the Bills to prepare. 10 total days for a monumental, huge, enormous game in Orchard Park on Monday Night Football, a week from this Monday, between the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. The Patriots have the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. You wonder who to root for there, right? Because if you're a Bills fan, you do want the division. You want to stay ahead of New England. You want to deal with that in the offseason with New England. Hey, they're back. The Bills had their one fun year. The Patriots are back. It's the Patriot reign. And you don't want to deal with that. I'd rather have the Titans knock them out and then have to figure it out in the postseason with the Bills winning the division. That's a huge game Sunday, though, for those two teams, and Tennessee trying to stay up above. We'll see what happens with the Ravens and the Browns. That's another big game. So a lot of jockeying for position, but unfortunately right now for the Bills, that loss to the Jaguars is still killing them. 8-3 compared to 7-4. I just can't get that out of my head. It looks a lot different, but we'll see what happens. The good news for the Bills, 10 days to prepare for the New England Patriots. Get Spencer Brown back, get Feliciano back, and boy, we're crossing our fingers on Trey White. Get on down here to Rosie's Corner today. $25 spent. Get you a $50 gift card. Great stocking stuffer. A proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. Enjoy the games.